The end game has arrived. One season and one legacy comes down to one game and one moment. Through the euphoria and the dejection, these warriors have refused to be deterred. They're terrifying. They're relentless. And they're taking no prisoners on the drive for 5.
Hurts with a straight drop, takes his eyes down, takes off. Touchdown, Oklahoma!
It's Oklahoma and Baylor in a grudge match for the ages, with everything at stake. Two teams stand, but only one will leave this building in triumph. Sooner Nation, this is the final stop on the road to glory. This is AT&T Stadium. And this is Gameday U.
And welcome to a special Big 12 Championship edition of Gameday U, live from Jerry World in Arlington, Texas. I'm Sam Brown, and I'm joined here at the dais by William Sule, Christian Nunley, Shiloh Sellers. Guys, we're here. I mean, this is pretty awesome. Obviously, the view doesn't get much better than this. How are we feeling? It's exciting, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm a little confused by what word you just used.
Dais?
It's outside my vocabulary, but...
Yeah.
Well, don't worry. We'll Google it during break. I can give you a definition.
We're starting out very fancy.
Taking Christian's mantle of words I don't understand.
Hey, I got to get on the train early. I was jumping on.
Someone's to look smart, too.
That's fair.
Yeah, thanks for the people need to know that I do
his
know
takes
words.
definitely aren't going to make it look smart. So.
Oh, wow. You heard it first.
I was like, the show just started.
We'll just find out.
All right, we are in for a long hour here in Arlington, but it's going to be a fun one. We got plenty to talk about. Yeah. First of all, let's talk about what happened last week in Stillwater Bedlam. Sooners really controlled the entire game. They come out on top 34-16. Never trailed throughout the course of the game, guys. What kind of stood out about the match?
Honestly, the biggest thing that stood out to me was almost the lack of chaos that you expect with Bedlam.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of boring.
It was
cold, too.
Very straightforward. OU just didn't hold bar. I mean, they were guns a-blazing the whole time. What really stood out to me was their red zone defense. I mean, they ranked second worst in the Big 12. So to say they're not good is almost an understatement. But they were able to hold OSU to only 5 of 12 completed third down conversions, and they broke up every single fourth down conversion that they attempted. So the defense for me really stepped up and stood out when it really mattered, which is, I think, going to be so important come tomorrow whenever they play Baylor.
Yeah. And to that point, I mean, you talked about the red zone defense. I'm going to talk about the turnovers that they were able to get, the takeaways. Mm-hmm. They were doing it all over the field. Yeah. I mean, we give Parnell Motley a lot of flack for being Parnell Motley and kind of having a loud mouth and having a lot of taunting turnovers. But he showed out. This dude had 2 fumble recoveries, or 2 forced fumbles. He should have had 2 interceptions. One of them I wasn't able to see too well. I wasn't able to see the TV broadcast, but it looked like he was in bounds. I mean, that was
just
from the
pretty
video I saw, he was.
If you look, if you look at the broadcast.
I mean, if you ask Twitter, they were all pretty much in agreement, at least
you can ask Twitter a lot of things and get a lot of different responses. So I'm not going to go down that trail. But it was impressive. Buki got himself a forced fumble. Everybody, it seemed like their eyes were on the ball, and I think that's going to be crucial against Baylor.
And that's huge. The Sooners starting to get more turnovers. It really started during that Baylor game, I think. With TCU, there's the interception at the end, but Baylor, when they got the fumble in the first half and then the interception to steal the end of the game, that felt like a massive shift in momentum, right?
Yeah, that's what takeovers do. They immediately flip the script and immediately change the whole layout of the game. One team can be driving into the red zone and then a turnover is caused, and it's like the whole drive never happened, and it's a whole new ball game. So in order for the Sooners to get more momentum plays like that, takeovers are needed.
I mean, they've ended the last 4 games on a turnover. Essentially, like they've like between obviously the Baylor one you mentioned is huge. I mean, Iowa State, Parnell Motley again. Yeah. It's not going to go down as a turnover, but basically he intercepted the 2-point conversion, and then TCU the same thing, and then OSU obviously that interception as well. I mean, it's been huge, and like my takeaway from the game was just really the improvement of this defense. I mean, last year 453 opponent yards per game, Big 12 ranked 10th in yards per game. That's, by the way, for those keeping track at home, there are 10 people in the Big 12. 10 teams.
10 people.
That's the last 10 people. It's just Lincoln Riley and all those other people. Last place in the Big 12 in opponents' yards per game, 114th nationally last year. This year, 336 yards per game. I'm not very good at math, but it's over at 100 yards per game less that this team is giving up. That's
really
first in the Big 12 and 26th nationally. Like that speaks for itself. I mean, you talk about like obviously they've still got room to improve. Red zone defense, but they're 13th in the country on third down percentage, 21st in tackles for loss, 26th in pass defense, 36th in sacks. And while people will look at that and say like, all right, cool, 36th in sacks, whatever. Like those are in the 20s, 30s, like Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. They're in like the top 10. Yeah. They've never needed to be in the top 10. Lincoln Riley has never needed a top 10 defense to make this team elite. They've needed a top 30 defense. If you had told Oklahoma fans going into this year, you're going to have a top 30 defense this year, then I'd be like, all right, how much is the ring? You know?
I think if you told them straight up that
book a hotel to Atlanta.
Yeah, I think if you told them straight up Oklahoma would have the best defense in the Big 12, they'd be surprised because you have teams. Yeah, Iowa State and TCU are sort of established as the stronger defensive teams. Texas was sort of up there. Not this year. They really kind of fell off the cliff.
DBU thing tried.
Todd Orlando's already fired. He's on his way out. They're really cleaning house there, which is nice to see. Really,
they're back.
They are back. To Austin. They're going to get a couple weeks off in Austin. Maybe make a full game. We'll have to see.
Back to the game.
Back to San Antonio.
Oh, they're going to have a blast at the Alamo Bowl, guys. They're going to love San Antonio. It's a whole new part of town. I'm sure players are going for like the 3rd or 4th time.
Yeah, I mean, they've probably got players from San Antonio. They get to see, like, they'll probably have like 70 of their family come out. No one's going to want to watch them play Alcorn State or wherever they're going to play in the Alamo Bowl.
Yeah. A&M, maybe.
Well,
let's talk about the other team in Texas because, like we mentioned, or we didn't mention it, but Oklahoma's playing Baylor tomorrow for the 2nd time in 3 weeks. Now, the last time they played Baylor, kind of one of the craziest. Historic. We literally witnessed history. One of the craziest games I've ever been to. Oklahoma comes out down 28-3 in the second quarter, 31-10 at halftime. And they absolutely dominate the Baylor Bears in the second half, come out 34-31 with the win. Guys, we talked about the game a little bit back after it had happened, but what kind of adjustments do you think Baylor might make going into tomorrow's matchup?
Well, for sure the biggest one is going to be dealing with our defense. Like you said, it's the best in the Big 12 right now. They're going to have Charlie Brewer in the game, and the Bears. What are a group of Bears called? A pack?
Yeah.
Okay, Charlie Brewer in the pack.
Squad.
Anyways, it doesn't matter. I think they weren't expecting how strong defensively we showed up in the second half. It was really, in my opinion, OU beating OU in the first half.
Yeah.
And so as long as OU stays firing on all cylinders, Baylor's really going to have to take it wherever they can get it. That's always been the case against Oklahoma offense. But I really think that they're going to have to really focus on giving Charlie Brewer a little bit more time. He got sacked a crap ton in the second half. Yeah. So they've got to give him some time to get the ball out there if they're going to be passing, which I think with our interceptions totals in the last few games, they might have a stronger rush game, I would assume. Yeah. But they're definitely going to have to really focus on protecting Charlie and getting the ball down.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ronnie Perkins, all Big 12 second team this year, I thought was a bit of a. I would have given him first team, but I'm not.
That was the game of his career right there.
Mm-hmm.
But he's definitely going to be a key to the game, and like, if they can't protect him, they really only scored in the first half off of Jalen Hurts' turnovers. Like their offense in total in that game was really not that efficient. Like like the defense had a really good like they
did.
Like other than maybe the first quarter, like they moved the ball well, but the second quarter really they only scored because of the interception that got them down in the 10-yard line, and then the fumble that got them on the 25. Like they got the ball in really opportune places. Yeah. Like if they aren't able to move the ball when like hopefully Oklahoma doesn't turn the ball over as much, especially Jalen Hurts who had 3 in that game. Mm-hmm. If Oklahoma can limit the turnovers, then I think that this Oklahoma defense could have a field day.
Well, that's exactly what happened in the second half. I mean, they were able to hold Baylor to what, like 6 minutes of possession?
5 minutes and 40 seconds.
You can't do nothing with that, and that's the point. That is what you have to do, is you have to switch that momentum over and really give Jalen in that game a chance to redeem himself.
Yeah, and the thing that's different about this Oklahoma team is I feel like in years past you'd almost see like the 80s Chargers with Dan Fouts, where they'd go down and score in 2 minutes and the defense would have a second or two to get some oxygen and go back out on the field. Now, like you said, Baylor only had 5:40 in time of possession. This team now, they're methodically driving down the field, and that's crucial for a defense's success. But I think in order for Baylor to succeed this week, I think they're going to have to get Denzel Mims involved. He was in the times that he was on the field and making plays, he was electric. What did he have? 2 touchdowns,
95 yards.
95 yards, and it seemed like he was non-existent in the second half. If Baylor's going to continue their success throughout the entire 60 minutes, they're going to need to get the Brewer to Mims connection going.
Yeah, and when you look at Oklahoma's defense, like you said, played a really solid game against Baylor. Those people forget 2 of Baylor's touchdowns started inside the Oklahoma 25-yard line because of those turnovers by the Oklahoma offense. So they can limit those turnovers. It's going to be a game of adjustments, I feel like, just like it was in Waco. And I think they really need to get Kennedy Brooks going early. I think that's something that has worked out well in the last couple of weeks. They're starting to find that groove in the running back room. Yeah, I mean, look at Bedlam.
Just destroyed everyone. And the funniest part is, like, we had gotten a chance to talk to him the week before about Chuba Hubbard, and he was like, I am really excited just to see him play as a running back. You know, he's got great things going. He's in the Heisman race.
And then he walked out.
Nobody was paying attention to Chuba. Everyone was
on
on the Brooks train, and that's because he honestly outdid him. He was electric on the field.
Yeah, and I think that's a really big key to this game. We're not at final word time of the show, but I think this team really has to suffocate Baylor on both sides of the ball. And how you do that, to your point, long drives. Give the defense a chance to adjust. And how do you have long drives? Run the football. And they've done that the last 4 weeks, and they've done it really, really well with Kennedy Brooks, who, one, has incredible ball security. We were talking about it before the show started. Has yet to fumble as an Oklahoma Sooner, which is an incredible statistic.
That's insane to me.
Which is, like, you see that, and then you see him succeeding, and you're just like, as a fan, like, you give him the ball. Like, just feed the beast. Like, I want to see him get 30 touches, like, tomorrow. I think that if Oklahoma walks out of this off this field behind me, and Kennedy Brooks has 30 touches, I don't even think this game's close.
Yeah. All of the Oklahoma players too after the game were saying he's just that steady guy. You know what you're going to get from him every single time.
Coach Riley went out and said that he's not one of those guys that's going to break off runs every time he touches a rock, but he's going to get what's there. And that's such an important job for a running back, is to get the 4 to 5 yards of carry and really just beat down the will of a defense. And that's what Kennedy Brooks is able to do.
Yeah, and if you need that big burst of speed,
he's got
Ramondre Stevenson, baby.
Dude.
I mean,
if
you were already demoralized as an Oklahoma State fan after that game, if you stayed for the fourth quarter and you saw a beat, like, talk about a beast, like, Ramondre Stevenson is a scary man when he's running, and he is he's surprisingly athletic for a guy of that size, and he was just.
He's just a bowling ball.
I saw somebody tweet the other day, like, right as that happened, they was like, "You're supposed to kneel Ramondre when he ran in at the end." And I was like, dude, if we did that to them twice in like the span of 5 years, we kneeled before a touchdown. I think the rivalry would be over. They just leave the Big 12, go to the American Athletic Conference, it'd be over by then.
Ramondre, he didn't know much about the Bedlam tradition yet.
It might be one of those things that, like, I don't understand how this can be claimed as a rivalry, Oklahoma State.
I don't know.
You look at the overall record, it's like, what are we doing?
It's one of those Penn State things. It's like Clemson in South Carolina.
Yeah. It's just because they're close. Yeah.
All right, we got plenty of OU talk out of the way. We're going to touch on OU and Baylor later on in the show, obviously. But there are other championship games going on. We are recording this on a Friday, so after the break, we're going to break down all the other Power 5 conferences, ACC, SEC, Pac-12, Big Ten. You're not going to want to miss it.
When you think of the arts, do you think of this? And this? And this? The arts make us all think of beautiful things. But do you also think of these? And those? Because the arts also make a significant impact on education, the economy, and our quality of life in hundreds of different ways. And that is a really beautiful thing. At Allied Arts, we support a diverse group of organizations throughout central Oklahoma who help create opportunities for more than 1 million Oklahomans, providing new hope through creativity and building a community where people want to live with an economy that's thriving, because that's the arts, and this is Allied Arts. And it doesn't take a big donation to make big things happen. Support Allied Arts today. A little give is all it takes.
We're growing every week.
Every week. Yeah, good luck.
All of our goals are still in front of us.
I'm ready to get back to work.
See, that's a good question.
There you go.
Dance skills are a little rusty.
Could only be found right here.
Let's go down, win a championship.
There's 8 other girls in that boat with you. And so
Haley.
Yes. Come on. Come on.
Please, guys.
Welcome back to Game Day U. I'm Christian Nunley here, and we're still at AT&T Stadium, but now we've got children what looks like on a field trip over to our right. So that might be a little bit of what you hear in the background.
That's what happens when we record on a school day.
That's true. Guys, we're delving into the Pac-12 for this segment. Big game. Utah, Oregon, a lot of implications for Oklahoma. What are you guys thinking for this game?
Yeah, I mean, right off the top, it is worth noting, like I said, we said before the break, we're recording this on a Friday.
Yeah.
The game is Friday night, so when Oklahoma plays tomorrow morning, first of all, we have no idea what's going to happen. Second of all, Oklahoma, by the time they kick off, will know exactly what they need to do to make it to the college football playoff. And I think that's one thing they really need to know. I think we'll dive into the implications a little later, but in terms of the game itself, one thing in particular I'm looking at is Utah's pass defense. A unit that's been really solid all year long, 13th in the country, and they get a lot of turnovers in the secondary. Very experienced, and they just kind of swarm you. They follow you up right at the line of scrimmage. They don't give you a ton of space, and that's something that Oregon quarterback Justin Herbert is really going to have to play around. Herbert's talented. He's got some talented players, but this secondary is straight up dominant, and the rest of pass defense as a whole is dominant as well. So finding different looks, Mario Cristobal's got his work cut out for him, trying to figure out a way through this Utah defense as a whole, because they are very complete, especially in the pass coverage.
Yeah, I think this Utah team is they're quite an enigma to me, because they've won. They lost the only game that they played against the top 25 opponent, but they've blown everybody else out. They had a really close game against Washington, 33-28. A Washington team that is obviously not living up to their own standards, I don't think, this year, after I picked them to go to the Final Four. You know, we're not going to talk about that.
Did you tell Chris Peterson to retire, or do you think he was?
I think he just knew that he disappointed me, and he couldn't live disappointing me.
Yeah.
But like you said, this Utah team, they've had more interceptions this year than they've had passing touchdowns allowed on them. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like they lead the nation in rush defense. Like so, their defense is good on like both the rush and the pass. Like they're a really good football team. But you also have to like keep in mind, like again, their only top 25 game. They lost to USC and a third-string quarterback. So the debate has been raging all over Twitter, all over ESPN, everywhere, of whether this Utah team is worthy to get to the college football playoff if they win and Oklahoma wins. And I think the committee's got a really tough decision because the consistency just hasn't been there in the college football playoff rankings. Like as obviously the committee changes from year to year, but even this year, consistency hasn't been there in the way that they view these teams. And so it'll be interesting to see. Like, this Utah team has 20. Their scoring margin on average per game is 23 points.
Yeah,
and it's pretty impressive. Like they've been really good.
That's
this year.
no 40-point Ohio State margin.
No. I mean,
but they're also playing a little bit better teams than Ohio State playing the school of the blind week in and week out.
I don't know. Like Ohio State's at least played a couple top 15 opponents.
Ohio State has played Michigan and Penn State. I agree, but if you were to look at the rest of their schedule at large, it's
Well, I think we're going to get to Ohio State a little bit later.
You're right.
Yeah. I have to say, y'all kind of already touched on it. Utah is ranked 92nd in strength of schedule. Oof. So, yeah. It's hard whenever they say we look at strength of schedule and then you have someone ranked 92nd
out of 130. Like,
I'm like, how does that happen?
Yeah.
Are you looking at what you say you're looking at? I don't know. But so for me, my eyes actually are going to be more on the Ducks. I think the Ducks have more talent on each side of the ball. I just don't think they have been going off, so to speak, as they should be. Justin Herbert, like you said, he's got a 68 completion record. 5 picks, 31 touchdowns in the season. I think that if they could really get their run game under control with their running back, C.J. Burdell is by far the best they've got. I think that they could really make the upset, the very slight upset that it is. And as a Sooner fan, that is what I'm hoping for, which is why I wanted to focus on that for my takeaway. Simply put, it's hard whenever you haven't seen Utah play anyone substantial to say, yeah, they've got it in the bag. Because whenever they might be first in whatever, but who have they been playing to get those stats? Yeah. So it's easy whenever you've been playing people who aren't in that top 25 to rack up those numbers and become the first in the nation in whatever. So I think that because it's going to be their very first kind of true showdown in a way, we might see the Utes start to stumble.
Yeah. My thing here is that I'm not sure Oregon has much to play for. I understand it's for a Pac-12 championship, but what are they ranked? 12th?
They're 2 lost. They're out of the playoffs.
They're 2 lost. They're out of the playoffs. And sure, you're playing for a Pac-12 championship. But this is Utah. They're putting everything on the line in this game later tonight. They've got a college football playoff spot on the line, a Pac-12 championship spot on the line. They've got a whole lot riding on this. This is their entire season boiled down to one game. And I think they're just going to come out and give everything they've got. I know team's not going to give everything that they got, but Utah's really going to put all their passion into this game.
They've got the weapons to be able to do it, too. It's not like Utah is just a defense. Tyler Huntley has been a really solid quarterback, kind of flown under the radar, I think, all season long, really. Yeah. Zach Moss, their school's all-time leading rusher, too, has been a dangerous rep, and they're both dangerous. So it's not like Oregon can just take this challenge lightly. They've got the weapons on defense to contain Utah to an extent. But this isn't a team that neither team should be glossing over the other, really. I mean, it's obviously.
No, I agree. So, and in the case of a win for Utah, or in the case of a loss, what are the kind of implications for this game for Oklahoma fans?
I mean, I think it really comes down, I think I agree with you. I don't think Utah loses this game. Obviously, they're doing this, and you'll see this, and you'll know. But for right now, we don't have any idea. So to me, I think Utah takes care of this game pretty easily. But I think if the committee looks at these two teams and looks at Utah and looks at, we're assuming in this situation, an Oklahoma win. because I think Baylor doesn't have enough juice to get over Utah. Like, I think a Baylor win and a Utah win puts Utah in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Assuming again that Georgia loses to LSU, which is by no means a given, which could cause more chaos.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll get there. But Oregon they're good, and they're good. This will be a good, solid win for Utah. They're an inconsistent team. Obviously, they've lost to Auburn, they lost to Arizona State, and they've played a lot of close games. Yeah, this will be the first top 25 win for Utah.
Do you think with only like one top 25 win, they'd still get in? Like, say Oklahoma wins
with a convincing win over Oregon and a unconvincing win over Baylor, I think Utah gets in over Oklahoma. I think the committee clearly, up to this point, has favored Utah. They've looked better. They've passed the eye test, et cetera, et cetera. They just need a reason. Utah's goal tonight is to give the committee that final push. To get them to where Baylor and TCU couldn't a couple years back when they got left out. Yeah. It's almost the exact same situation, because the problem that Utah faces, and whether they want to believe it or not, is name brand. Like, they don't have that brand recognition. Yeah. And while people want to believe that the committee is not going to look at that,
yeah, they do.
They do. And they've shown over and over and over again that they're going to put those blue bloods in because the blue bloods make more money.
As crazy as it is, I've got to get credit to Paul Feinbaum at ESPN. I never do this, ever. But he was right. No one really wants to see Utah in the college football playoff. It's the stigma. Like Sule said, I don't know if anyone believes that Utah is one of the top 4 teams in the country. So that is the challenge to them, is to prove it. But in the eyes of the committee, Utah's been ahead of Oklahoma every step of the way. So only they know how they feel about those two teams. But based off of what we've seen from the rankings, it's hard to say that a win tomorrow would unequivocally put Oklahoma over the top of Baylor. Yeah. Because I think they need to come out and dominate, and I think they also need to hope Utah maybe stumbles up a little bit.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. That's kind of where I am. I do think that a Baylor or an Oklahoma win and a Utah win, I just think that puts in.
I think it's a toss-up.
Yeah, I think that puts in Utah. It's tough, like
Absolutely.
You guys said, with the stigma and everything.
I don't think that Baylor has
the kind of clout that Oklahoma needs to jump
they're like
Utah.
They're like the Utah of the Big 12.
Yeah.
No one actually thinks Baylor. No, the committee didn't think Baylor was one of the best teams the last week.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. If Utah's been ahead of Oklahoma all the way leading up to this point, I don't see how a win on either side would be able to be enough for Oklahoma to jump Utah. I'm not sure.
What if it's a blowout win? What if Oklahoma?
Yeah, I think that would be.
That's completely different.
An Ohio State situation from a couple years ago where they blew out Wisconsin in the Big Ten title game, and I think we could see something similar. I mean, really, we're arguing over who's going to get blown out by Ohio State in the college football playoff, and I think the committee is looking at who's going to get more ratings while they're getting blown out, and that's probably Oklahoma. And while you shouldn't think TV ratings should matter. At the end of the day, it's a business in the same way that all other the NFL.
Money talks.
Money talks. It really does.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. Well, that'll be it from us for now. Later on, we'll touch on the ACC. Hopefully, we've covered enough of the Pac-12 that there is to cover. Yeah. We'll talk ACC, SEC, as Sam said. We'll discuss all the conferences. You won't want to miss it.
It's harder whenever there's a bigger group. Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked. Thrown up against a wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.
From providing care,
I served in the United States Army Nurse Corps,
to serving near the front lines.
I was the first woman ever to deploy on a Strategic Air Command deployment.
Military women have served in many roles while paving the way for others.
I lobbied for women to be on board submarines.
The veterans benefits you earned honor that service and can help with challenges you face on the home front. From job training to disability compensation to buying a home with a VA guaranteed home loan.
I'll be able to change my career and make more money and provide a better life for my family.
Find out more about your eligibility, including how to apply online using e-benefits.
I'm proud to be an Army Reserve veteran. My mission now is to help women with military service learn about their veterans benefits.
Achieve your next mission. Learn about and apply for your VA benefits today.
My name is Sadaf Imani, and I'm majoring in aviation with a concentration in professional pilot at the University of Oklahoma. I was born and raised in Iran. I immigrated to the U.S. with my family when I was 11, and that was difficult because I didn't know any English before coming here, so I had to dive into school and basically do everything that a normal student would do. When I decided that I wanted to study aviation, a lot of people did not support my decision. They actually said a lot of negative things and basically discouraged me and said you can't be a good pilot because you're a woman and you have to raise a family, things like that. But if it's something that you really want to do and you know within yourself that you have it in you, then you have to pursue it for yourself and not listen to what other people tell you.
Welcome back to Game Day U live from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, ahead of the Big 12 championship between Oklahoma and Baylor tomorrow morning. We are here. Now the kids are out on the playground, or on the field.
On the playground.
This is their playground
This is their playground for about the next half hour, and they look. We might have to join them here in a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Hey, speak for yourself, big guy.
Yeah. Before we go out and play some football or whatnot, let's pick some games for the weekend. We talked about Utah and Oregon already. You can't pick them because we're not going to look like chumps out there in case you get it wrong.
Somebody will be wrong.
We're going to save ourselves the trouble, but let's start off with a really easy one right off the bat. The ACC championship, Clemson and Virginia. Clemson's got over a 96% chance to win this game. Guys, any Virginia takers in the crowd? No, nobody?
Listen, I'm a Virginia native.
Kids.
I'm a Virginia native, and I'm still 100% certain Clemson's got this in the bag. It doesn't look like it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna be close.
Yeah, let's go through it. Shyla, who are you picking?
Clemson. I mean,
shocker.
I'm surprised that y'all aren't surprised. First, it's the ACC, so you know that there's no competition within that conference for Clemson. I mean, they're second in total defense, third in total offense in the nation, so they've got both sides. They are the defending champs. You've got Trevor Lawrence, who is tried and true. He didn't have the big breakout season like everyone was expecting after the championship game, but he is really experienced. He's got what it takes, and he knows what it takes. And I think for that reason, there is no chance that these Clemson Tigers are going to choke on anything. I think that they're going to go in confident, and they're going to blow the water out of Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what Virginia's done recently. They had a close game against Virginia Tech. When the Clemson team comes out and you see the plethora of weapons that team's got, T. Higgins, Travis Etienne, and Trevor Lawrence, I really don't think Virginia's got a shot. It's just a certain level of athleticism that comes with the Clemson recruits, and it's just lower with Virginia. There's just no bones about it. At a certain point, there's a talent gap, and you see that with Oklahoma and Texas, and you're going to see that with Clemson and Virginia. So I'm going to have to take Clemson. I'm not sure what the spread is. Guaranteed.
That's a lot. 28.5 for a conference championship game.
28.5.
30 points spread.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of people would bet Clemson to cover in a conference championship game with a 28.5 point
Dude,
spread.
I had somebody try and tell me the other day. It wasn't even the other day. It was like a year ago, I'd say. A few of my friends tried to tell me that the ACC was better than the Big 12 top to bottom. And I was like, yo. And they argued me this the entire night. And I was like, you can't be serious. Like,
crazy.
I'm just going to sit there and think on it.
Were they talking about like football or football? Like, do they
maybe
knew
basketball?
The ACC is pretty good at soccer. You got Syracuse,
lacrosse.
Maryland.
I'll give them lacrosse.
Yeah. I'm not sure what they were talking about. They said top to bottom.
Maybe it's because there's like a million teams in the ACC, so there's bound to be some decent ones. But even this year, like that's not even the case.
That guy watches one game a year.
Yeah, seriously, and they're all whoever's the top dog.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He watches the Clemson spring game.
They watch Clemson, Virginia in the ACC championship. They're like, that's better than what the Big 12's rolling out.
Right.
Dude, no, but it's not. It's not.
I mean, if they maybe played the Clemson spring game over and over and over again, just the orange and white game that they have every year, then
Like,
maybe
wow.
the ACC championship would be fun. But yeah, I mean, I gotta be.
These teams are so good.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Yeah, I don't even know who like backs up Trevor Lawrence, but I would
Chase Bryce.
I would take him to beat most of the teams in
Bryce.
the ACC. But yeah,
Over North Carolina?
I mean, that one was the only. This is the only close game Clemson's had all year, but they're not even ranked.
And that was on the road.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, to your point, North Carolina was 1 2-point conversion away from beating Clemson this year. But I'm still taking Clemson in this game pretty easily. I mean, their average margin of victory, they've won the last 4 ACC championships. Average margin of victory, 20 and a half. 20 and a half in the ACC championship game. That's crazy. I mean, they beat Pitt 42-10 last year. They beat Miami 38-3. I didn't even know Miami was like relevant 2 years ago.
Teddy Bridgewater.
People forget.
No, that wasn't Teddy Bridgewater. No, that was Louisville. I'm stupid.
No, you're good. You're good.
That's okay.
Teddy Bridgewater was
Just don't talk the rest of
Who's the Miami quarterback I was thinking of then?
They're also forgettable.
Yeah, they are.
There's no telling.
They are.
Yeah.
But I mean, they literally. Clemson has played one opponent in the top 35 in the FBI. Not the top 25, top 35 in the FBI. That was Texas A&M. And they're not even good. Like this Virginia team is 37 in the FBI. This game's going to be boring. The fact that it's in prime time is a little bit confusing.
Honestly, it's kind of annoying because we got OU plays very early. We have to get here very early for a somewhat exciting game.
And we're already
I'd say it's
going to
be a very exciting game.
I'm not a morning guy at all. This is going to be brutal.
Yeah, I think it'll be worth it though. We're here outside.
Bryce Perkins will be fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's going to carry Virginia to this win by some act of God, it's going to be because of Bryce Perkins. I mean, the guy has really evolved as a quarterback in Virginia's offense. His touchdown numbers, his passing touchdowns have dipped a little bit. That's a little bit because of the offense they run. He has 11 rushing touchdowns, and he's got more passing yards. So he's really starting to develop from a runner who can throw the ball to a passer who can run the ball. That's where you're starting to see the evolution at Virginia. He's got a couple weapons around him, nothing really stand out. It's going to be on his shoulders. He's going to have a big game, and against Clemson, that's going to be tough. I'm going to roll with the Clemson Tigers, obviously, but if there's anyone who can maybe carry this team or at least make it close, it's going to be Bryce Perkins.
Yeah, and a little tie-in from OU to UVA. RJ Proctor, former UVA transfer, said he FaceTimed Bryce right after they won the game, and Bryce was like, "Yeah, we're going to give Clemson all they've got, so they better be on their toes." So,
Virginia's going to need all they've got.
They're going to need all they've got.
And more, I'd say.
I mean, I think any team that's playing Clemson is going to need all they've got. No bones about it.
I think that's enough. We spent enough time talking about Virginia. I think we'll be okay. Clemson's going to be in the college football playoff.
Hey, that's my state. Watch out, man.
All right. Sorry. I figured you would. Yeah. Did you grow up a Virginia fan?
No. I was always an OU fan.
I don't know you have to grow up to
You always had good smarts about it.
Maybe basketball.
Let's shift over to some of the bigger games, some of the more competitive games. Let's start with the Big Ten. Ohio State and Wisconsin. Ohio State, the number 1 team in the country.
Go Badgers, baby.
Go Badgers. But Ohio State has looked dominant all year long. What is Wisconsin going to have to do to stop this team? Are they going to stop this team, Shiloh?
I mean, they couldn't stop them last time they played them. What was it? 38-7. So 1 touchdown.
Worst day of the year.
Yeah.
It is really hard to badly beat a team twice. So Wisconsin, I think, could make some adjustments and keep it close.
But Ohio State has badly beaten basically everyone they've played.
That's true.
So to say they can't do it twice, I think might be underestimating.
That's true.
I mean, just simply put, they're the first in total defense. I mean, and I don't think that Wisconsin offensively has the talent and what it takes based on what we've seen this season to be able to overcome that. Ohio State, where are they playing? I don't even...
It's in Indianapolis.
Okay.
Indianapolis, yeah.
Well,
former home of Andrew Luck.
That's
a shame.
You know, they have that for them. It's a neutral site. I mean, they've been like 1-2 all year long, dominating, and not like by dominating, not by like a really good win against certain people, but like blowout wins.
Yeah.
Like such big, such a big difference in spread. They've got Justin Fields, which has a QBR of 93.4. That's the third in the nation. Only, and right underneath him is Jalen Hurts. So, like, you kind of can compare and understand that level of talent. They've got really, really strong play on both sides of the ball, kind of like a whole picture of what it's going to take.
Yeah, and, you know, earlier in the semester and earlier in the season, we were discussing who were our Big Ten takes and who we thought was going to win the Big 12 or Big Ten. And I was kind of frustrated. I wanted to pick Wisconsin because I really thought they had what it took. I didn't think Justin Fields would walk in.
Sule did.
Yeah, I didn't think Justin Fields would walk into the prestige he's walked into this season. I didn't think he'd be as good as he was. And here we are. I picked Ohio State over Wisconsin, and here we are, and it's about to come to fruition.
It's not too late.
Listen, you look at this entire Ohio State roster: J.K. Dobbins, Chris Olave, Justin Fields. Their entire skill core is so good. J.K. Dobbins makes so many great plays for this squad. He's such a reliable passing running back. It's so impressive to watch, and I mean, Wisconsin's going to have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, I mean, I really, really wanted to sit there and find a way to, in my heart, convince myself to pick Wisconsin to win this game. I just really can't. I mean, it's just, the last time they played, Jack Cohn had 108 yards and 1 TD. Jonathan Taylor only had 52 yards, and Wisconsin had a team that had 2 fumbles. And this Ohio State team, like, really just laid the woodwork on this Wisconsin Badgers team. It's the worst weekend ever. Wisconsin lost and OU lost that weekend. It's terrible. I mean, this Ohio State team, the number 1 in total defense, number 5 in total offense, number 1 scoring offense, number 4 scoring defense. Like, they're an incredible football team. They've been dominating people all year, and as I mentioned, like, they're probably going to dominate whoever they play in at least the first round of the college football playoff. I mean, this is a really, really good Ohio State team.
Like Christian said, it doesn't hurt that they're playing, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends every Saturday.
That's what I'm saying. You look at their schedule. They play like Maryland. You go through all the games outside of the top tier ones that they have, and they are all against teams that are like.
That's how the Big Ten is, though. Like, the Big Ten is
so.
People see the Big Ten as one of the best, probably behind the SEC is the best conference in the country, but that's because they are so top heavy with teams like Ohio State, and Michigan, and Wisconsin. Yeah. And Minnesota now has entered that mix. But you look at the bottom, and it's like, good Lord.
That's still like 5 good teams.
Yeah.
Which, like, I mean, you can knock them all you want, but like, do you really feel like I think that if you took the bottom 5 of the Big 12 and then the bottom 5 of the Big 10, like, it'd be comparable. Like, it wouldn't be like that much different. Like, you're telling me that Kansas is that much better than Maryland? I mean, I really don't think like
they're not.
I don't like. You can knock them however you want, but like Minnesota's a good win. Penn State's a good win. Wisconsin, they blew out, and they're about to play them again. And like, although I did want to throw in a couple stats to favor my Badgers. This is the first time that Ohio State has played.
We've got to.
This is the first time Ohio State's played the same opponent in the same year in 44 years.
Really?
Which I thought was interesting. Don't know what to do with that information other than the fact that maybe like it's something you don't see. That Ohio State's not used to it.
Yeah.
Oklahoma does it all the time, I feel like, especially in the way the Big 12's structured now.
Yeah.
And the stat that really pointed out, that stuck out to me that Wisconsin could take advantage of is Ohio State is 72nd in the country in sacks allowed, which to me says that their offensive line isn't necessarily doing, I think, the job that an elite caliber team would do. So maybe the Badgers can take advantage of that, but I just can't believe enough. As much as I want to believe, I just don't.
The sacks won't get them through.
That's just like 20 of them.
Yeah, I'll go real quick. Ohio State takes it. Don't know what else you want me to say. I think Ohio State's the most complete team. They kind of covered it already, so not much more I can add. Let's jump over to the SEC Championship, though. LSU and Georgia. That's a big one with huge playoff implications. Everyone's going under the assumption that LSU is going to take it. But, guys, are we rolling with that? Do we think Georgia can pull off an upset?
No.
No.
I'm definitely going with LSU. They have been tried and true, can't speak, for me all season long. Joe Burrow, man.
He's got the Heisman locked.
I mean, yes.
Oh, in the back.
It's the Heisman race of Joe Burrow
Maybe
and
next
everybody else. Like, he has it in the bag, I think, after defeating Alabama, which to me was going to be their toughest opponent. I'm like, yes, you can do it. You can do anything that you put your mind to. I like that high
motivational speaker shallow.
I mean, I just think that they're just over. Like, LSU is too good on both sides of the ball. They've got too much talent. I don't see. It's hard because it is such a close matchup with against Georgia, but we've seen Georgia already falter earlier in the season, and I think that LSU has so much. I mean, after all the hype they've gotten.
All right.
You okay?
No, you said Georgia faltered to South Carolina, but I digress. I didn't want to interrupt.
Hard to forget.
Yeah, it is. I just think that LSU has already faced such tough competitors and has really proven themselves. I think to them it's just like another game. Like, I really don't think that there's going to be a whole lot of pressure on them to really show out and to give it their all, because they do that every time you see them play.
Yeah. And the thing I love about this LSU team is that they have been to war so many times this season. You look at their schedule and all the excellent teams that they played, Bama, Auburn, Georgia coming up. They've been through it all, and they've got those war scars, I guess you could say. And they've got guys who have played through the most intense games of the season for a lot of what would be a lot of people, but that's just their regular Saturday.
Yeah.
Earlier in the season, I said that LSU needed Justin Jefferson to ball out in order for them to succeed. Boy, was I wrong. Jamar Chase leading in the Biletnikoff Award right now. He's actually at 46% over CDU at 41. So get out there and vote. But this guy's been electric, and Joe Burrow is just an ultimate compliment, or Jamar Chase is an ultimate compliment to Joe Burrow. Those two are such a dynamic duo. I think Georgia's going to have such a hard time slowing them down. And like I said about Clemson, the skill core within LSU is so good. Clyde Herrero had 4 touchdowns against Bama. I don't think he's going to slow down against Georgia. I think LSU might run away with this one.
To quote the other Game Day show, not so fast, my friend.
Okay.
I'm picking Georgia,
Not so fast, pal.
and here's why. 7-3 under Kirby Smart versus top 10 teams. All 3 of those losses were Alabama. It's not Alabama this time. It already has an SEC title under his belt. He's been there. He's done that. He's done it. They obviously struggled at times this year. DeAndre Swift, obviously an incredible back, NFL talent guy, 1,200 yards this year. But the number two scoring defense, barely allowing 10 points a game. And I think people are really sleeping on Georgia. They're the number 4 team in the country, and no one's giving them credit for anything. I mean, they obviously have lost to South Carolina. That's a bad loss, but who hasn't had bad losses? It happens every once in a while. Obviously they look terrible in that game, and I'll admit that.
It reminded me of the Iowa State game that Oklahoma lost.
It really did, and it looked very out of character for them. And I think that they're going to come into this game feeling disrespected. And honestly, part of the reason why I'm picking Georgia is because wouldn't it be the most SEC thing ever to just give this one to Georgia so they could get 2 teams in the playoff? I mean, it would just be the most chaotic thing that happened. This is the worst case scenario if you're an Oklahoma fan, and that's why I believe it's going to happen. Because if you're I just have this feeling in my heart that Georgia's going to spoil because this Utah-Oklahoma debate doesn't mean anything if Georgia beats LSU.
Yeah.
Because Georgia's getting in, and obviously
I'm a firefighter.
A teacher.
I'm a farmer. I'm a barber.
A waitress. A mom.
We're all part of your community. Every day we move in and out of each other's busy lives.
It's easy to take for granted all the little moments that make up our everyday.
Some are good,
others not so much.
But that's life. It's when you experience a moment of uncertainty, something or someone's behavior that doesn't seem quite right.
These are the moments to take a pause.
Because if something doesn't feel right, it's probably not.
It's not about paranoia
or being afraid.
It's about standing up and protecting our communities.
One detail at a time.
Because a lot of little details can become a pattern.
We
We trust our instincts.
Just like you should.
Because only you know what's not supposed to be in your everyday.
So protect your everyday.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
No more pencils, no more books.
No more teachers' dirty looks.
School's out for summer.
School's out forever.
School out with fever.
School's out completely.
What this place needed was better graduation rates. So we worked with schools like Henry Ford High, and now they're up 18%. And it can happen in every place.
School's out for summer.
To help us do more good this year, go to unitedway.org, because great things happen when we live united.
My name is Jane C. I am a biochemistry, letters, and studio art major. I have a lot of memorable moments at OU, but probably the most memorable one was when I curated a show that involved artists across the U.S. to talk about racism and beauty in the Lightwall Gallery, and it was really good to see the community come together through art to talk about such an important issue. My favorite place in campus is definitely this place right here, the studio, the mess. It's all wonderful, where all my best art projects come about. If you don't have a space to make work, I feel like it's too easy not to make work. If I could describe OU in one word, it would be process, because we all come here with certain ideas, and through OU, our environment changes, the people we meet, affects us. And I think that we all go through our own process and come out at the end different from how we started.
Welcome back to Gameday at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. The Sooners and the Bears kick off at 11 a.m. on Saturday, guys. Final words, call-outs, score predictions. It should be a fun one. Might be the last one, so let's make it count. Shiloh, kick us off with your final word.
Rub that in on
I
us.
know, yeah, that gets so emotional.
I was just trying to get you to have your best final word.
Well, in that case, my final word is 13, and that stands for how many Big 12 championships I think OU is going to have after tomorrow. It's theirs to win. They beat Baylor. Granted, it was an ugly game, but I think that OU now knows what they need to do to get it done. We kind of got back that defense that we had at the beginning of the season. They've been firing on all cylinders. We've talked about the takeaways. We've talked about just how great that the lines have been lately and everything else. And then, of course, Jalen Hurts. The big thing for him is going to be ball security. But good thing for us, he knows it sucks, and he says that he's working on it. So fingers crossed, that is what he's been working on. I think that we're going to walk away with 13.
Yeah, hopefully Jalen's not lying to the public about his ball security, working on it at least. That's important. I hope he truly understands the vitality of Hold On to the Rock, because it seems like he doesn't. But my final word is going to have to be close. I think the Sooners need to close out this season on a strong note. They really need to take out Baylor and close any doubt that they shouldn't be A, Big 12 champions, and B, in the college football playoffs. So go ahead and close out the hopes for Baylor, close out the hopes for Utah that they might be able to slide in the college football playoff.
My word is a little bit more along the lines of Shiloh's, and I picked a number as well. But my number is 5, as in go get 5 in a row. 1 to back to back to back to back to back. I don't even know. Let's keep counting.
Imagine having a full handful of rings.
Lincoln Riley's about to. He's about to have 5 rings
Nick
in a row.
Nick Baskman's about to have more championship rings than he could ever imagine.
Yeah.
He alone is about to have more championship rings than Texas is, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But go get your 5. Go get the job done. Let's go celebrate.
Let's go celebrate. Hey, my final word is going to be focus. I think if you look back to 2017 against TCU in the Big 12 championship, a lot of questions were, can Oklahoma beat this team twice in 2 weeks? They did. Last year against Texas, you look at it, the defense, are they going to hold up? Is the offense going to be able to bail them out? They did. focused, locked in. That's the mentality Oklahoma needs tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of questions about whether they can beat Baylor back-to-back. Stay focused. Don't worry about the questions. Take care of business. All right, call-outs. Shiloh, who do you got?
Well, mine is straightforward. We kind of already talked about him. Jalen Hurts. I mean, quite frankly, the last time that they played Baylor, it was Jalen that was really causing the issues. I mean, OU was like beating themselves. They were hurting themselves. They were giving way too many opportunities to Baylor to make big plays happen. If they want to have a through full 60 minutes of solid play, then Jalen's got to hold on to that ball. He's got to make the right calls. A big thing that I have an issue with Jalen is it seems that he does what's called, and on his second read, there is none. He just runs it. And that's one thing that I really want Jalen to work on. He's got to stay in that pocket, be calm, cool, and deliver on every single chance that they've got tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think that I love that point because time and time again, it seems like Jalen Hurts is kind of sitting in the pocket, and it's not like he's following through his progressions. He's just kind of biding by his time in the pocket, and then eventually that leads to sacks. That's what it does. But my call out, it's not an indictment on poor play, but it's a request for excellence. It's going to have to be Ronnie Perkins. Ronnie Perkins, you've played excellent to this point throughout the entire season, and the defense is going to need all that you've got in order to keep Charlie Brewer in control. I talked about earlier how Denzel Mims to Charlie Brewer, that connection was going to be crucial for Baylor. But Ronnie Perkins is going to be the guy that disrupts that, and he's going to be the reason that isn't able to thrive. So Ronnie Perkins has got to have a great game. They've really got to limit the amount of time that Charlie Brewer has in the pocket, and I don't doubt Ronnie Perkins is going to be able to do just that.
Yeah, I agree. Mine is also kind of along those lines. I'm calling out Parnell Motley. Again, not for poor performance, but because Oklahoma will need you to have an incredible performance if they're going to win this football game. What should have been 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 2 pass breakups in this game against OSU. In the post-game press conference when I talked to him, he said that he believes that he's the best quarterback in the country. Well, I don't think that that's true, and I don't think he really thinks that's true. That confidence is something that I think that you need to keep up and back up. Like, if Parnell Motley, if you're going to be that field, say those things, if you're going to make those claims, you got to back it up. And you backed it up against Oklahoma State. All right, you're going to have to back it up again against Baylor because Trey Brown struggled the past couple of weeks. Jaden Davis has had his struggles all year, as we documented fairly well in this show. Parnell Motley needs to be that lockdown corner to shut down that Denzel Mims connection. If this Oklahoma State team to walk away straight.
Yeah. Well, it is a few weeks until Christmas, so why not bring out the Grinch now? Alex Grinch is my call out for this game, the defensive coordinator. A really solid amount of. I actually came off the top of the head. I was listening to Sule's call out. I said, that's a good one. Okay. The Oklahoma defense has really shown some improvement over the last couple of weeks. They looked really solid against Oklahoma State, really solid against TCU. The second half against Baylor is what we need to see again tomorrow. The first half, the coaching staff talked about it the entire week. A lot of stuff to learn from. Stuff that Oklahoma was shooting themselves in the foot, and a lot of that falls on Alex Grinch and his inability to get stops on defense, not being able to get off the field on third down. That's going to be key on Saturday. And Alex Grinch has shown that he can make adjustments, and the team can make adjustments throughout the season and throughout the course of a game. So that's definitely going to need to happen. Alex Grinch has got to come out with an aggressive game plan, like you said, getting to Charlie Brewer and really limiting the amount of time that he has, making sure he's never comfortable. So the time has come. Who do we think is coming out with the Big 12 championship? Shiloh.
Everyone looks at
Well, Shiloh, I think knows. Shiloh knows.
Yes, I think it's going to be OU for sure. I think it's going to be a close game, but not as close as we saw the last time these two teams played. I think that OU, they've been on the right track. They've been building their momentum, and I really think that they are going to want to prove themselves. I mean, they beat Baylor, yes, but it wasn't pretty. And I think that they're going to come in and they're going to play solid football from start to finish. I think that they're going to take it 42-35. It's really going to be a battle on both sides of the ball. It's going to come down to defense of what they can do. I think that Charlie Brewer is going to be able to make some things happen, but hopefully they can really hold him to not as close of a game as it was last time.
I hope not. And I talked a little bit about Utah and Oregon and how Utah had everything to play for and Oregon kind of doesn't have much. I kind of think it's a similar situation with Baylor and Oklahoma. Baylor, they've got a lot to play for, seeing as though it is a Big 12, but not a college football playoff spot. So that's why I'm going to have to take Oklahoma. I'm going to have to go 45-21 Oklahoma. I think the Sooners understand how abysmal their first half was the first time around against Baylor. So I do. It's a great, very descriptive word. I feel like everybody, it's clear. I think Oklahoma's going to come out of the get-go and really going to be firing on all cylinders, and Baylor's not going to know what to do.
I mean, I've got Oklahoma in this one as well. A lot closer contest than I think you're predicting. 35-27 is my score prediction. It's a 9-point spread, which doesn't, like, my score prediction doesn't even have OU covering. I think this game's going to be really close because I think these are two really, really good football teams. I think it's going to be a really fun one to watch.
Yeah, 37-24 Oklahoma. The Sooners come out on top, get their 5th straight Big 12 championship, and that does it from us here in AT&T Stadium. Thank you so much for watching our Big 12 special. We may be at their bowl game depending on where Oklahoma goes, so be on the lookout for that. Follow our social media to stay tuned. It's been a ton of fun, guys, getting to do this show live from Jerry World, and enjoy the Big 12 championship. This has been Game Day U.